Last weekend wrapped up the most recent Tinley Park NARBC reptile show, and while Courtney and I were there, we went on a $10,000 ball python shopping spree. So, given the state of the current ball python market in the spring of 2024, we want to talk about what we bought. We want to talk about why we bought the animals that we did, and we also want to touch on just a little bit of the adventures that we had, because realistically, this was probably my favorite reptile trip we've ever been on. But before we actually dive into the meat of the video, we have a quick sneak peek because I cannot wait to share this animal. While we were at the Tinley show, we had a clutch hatching out, and by the time that we got back, we had one of the babies out of the egg, and this baby is insane. It is a brand new sunset combo, and while we do have a pretty good idea of what we think the genetics are, we are not going to reveal it right now. Instead, we are going to wait for it to shed out. We're going to send that shed in to our good friends over at Rare Genetics Incorporated, so that way they can test it and we can confirm the actual genetics before we put out any information that might not be correct. So again, I can't wait to share it, so we're going to be putting it up on the screen right now. If you guys think that it's cool, leave a comment down below. Let us know what you think the genetics are, and let us know what you would name it if you had hit this world's first sunset combo. Anyways, my name's Steven with Leviathan Snakes, and let's get to the video. Our Tinley adventures started a little bit earlier this year. The Wednesday before Tinley, we went down to Atlanta, Georgia in order to meet up with Bob Vu of Bob's Balls. And the reason why we're doing this is because we are working on a documentary mini-series throughout 2024, maybe even a little into 2025, where we are going around and filming very prominent people within the reptile hobby in order to create more of a cinematic, again, a documentary kind of feel set up on all of these different figures that are super, super important to our industry. So we are down there filming Bob's interview, and it was a blast. We cannot thank them enough for the amazing hospitality that they showed us.
It was incredibly kind of them to let us, come over and get all those interviews. Everybody was just so nice and so generous with their time and everything. We are super grateful for that, and it was really cool to go ahead and kick off the Tinley week that way. We left Bob's Thursday at midnight, and we drove through the night to make it to Tinley, so that vendor setup starts sometime Friday morning. So what they do is they leave midnight and they get up there by 10 a.m. and they're ready to set up. Steven and I kind of split the drive. I drove until I was starting to get sleepy, and then once it got light out again, I was comfortable driving again. And again, we were able to arrive in Tinley Park about 10 a.m., about 10:30 a.m. Central. So it was, as soon as we parked the car, it was time to go record them setting up. They somehow beat us there. I feel like we drove straight through. I don't know how they got so far ahead of us.
So we go in there, we film them setting up a bit, and then we go around and we just talk to so many different people, because we get to hang out with all of our friends that are all over the country when we go to these national level shows, and it is a blast.
It was really cool to see everyone. We saw some really great setups. I would feel bad naming some because there were so many good ones. It was probably one of the it was probably the most impressive Tinley setup that I've seen. So not necessarily the animals, but new banners, a lot of like LED lights, signage, a lot of just really cool booths and like creative setups. It was probably, I think people have really put in a lot of work coming up with like really incredible displays. I was super impressed with a lot of the creativity, a lot of the fun marketing and branding that people had.
Friday is actually the first day where we started making purchases, and our very first purchase that we made was from our awesome friends at Brock Wagner Reptiles. So Brock and Gretchen were there, and as I'm eyeing their table, because I love sunset stuff and they are the absolute kings of the sunset project, I see that they have this stunning Fire Sunset Het Hypo Girl. And in addition to the Fire Sunset Het Hypo Girl, they also had Hypo Sunset combos, and they were just amazing. And I've seen the Hypo Sunsets before, and it's personally one of my favorite sunset combos, and they age so well. So we saw this Fire Sunset Het Hypo Girl, and I immediately wanted her. So I asked Courtney real quick, because I pretty much always ask Courtney before I make a purchase, so that way I'm never being put into a position where I need to tell the breeder that I gotta go ask my wife before I make a purchase. Anyway, so I asked her, Courtney's good with it, so I ended up buying her pretty much immediately on Friday from Brock and them, and I cannot express enough how absolutely beautiful she is. We are so freaking excited. I really, really like Fire in Sunset, and it helps them age so well. They just keep getting brighter and brighter as they get older. And also the fact that she is 100% heterozygous for hypo means that she is an incredibly powerful breeder for years and years and years to come.
I was absolutely exhausted from driving through the night. So I tried to go back and take a little nap from about 4 until 7 because the show closed at 7, and then we had plans to go out to dinner probably about 8. So I tried to take a little nap, not easy to do when you're riding that kind of high. So I at least laid down for a little bit. Steven stayed at the show because he was just so full of energy. The coolest thing that I saw Friday to me was a super asphalt leopard OD girl from Corey DeLong at CD Constrictors. I saw her actually a couple weeks ago when we were down at his place recording again, and I wanted her pretty bad. And I think he was originally going to hold her back. She's got some good size on her, and he decided to list her and brought her to the show, and I had to have her. Steven knew he wanted to buy several snakes, so he actually surprised me with her instead of, instead of talking, he knew I wanted her and he knew that I wanted her bad. We usually are pretty good about buying things together, but while I was napping, he went and picked her up, told Corey not to say who he sold it to, so that when I saw that she was gone, I would think she sold to somebody else, but he couldn't keep a secret. And as soon as he got in the car when I picked him up, he's like, Corey's girl sold, she's gone. And I was like, dang it. He goes, to me, and hands her over to me. So that was really exciting. She is beautiful. I am so happy with that pickup. We recently hatched out some super asphalt and freeway stuff that has me so excited. I can't wait to show that off in another video. And just getting more asphalt into our projects just makes me so happy. So I'm thrilled for that girl, and we have gotten a lot of feedback that a lot of people had their eye on her. So
the next animal that I want to talk about is actually the last pickup that we made, and it was on Sunday. So we stop in on Sunday, but we are planning on leaving around noon or so because we have a really long drive back to South Carolina from Tinley Park. So we're going around, we're meeting up with people, saying goodbye and all that stuff when we stop over at awesome people, great friends, Justin from Morph Jungle, and we see that he has a GHI double het Sunset Desert Ghost female, and GHI is another gene that I really, really like in Sunset that we don't have right now. And the fact that she is double het, 100% double het, for Sunset and Desert Ghost was really, really big. So right now we have a chocolate inchy double het Sunset DG female and a chocolate double het Sunset DG female that are about up to size, as well as a chocolate inchy double het Sunset DG male that's already locking with different girls. So since those are our only Desert Ghost animals, it's really hard for us to work other genes into that project. So the fact that she already had GHI, she was 100% double het for the genes that we needed, it was almost a no-brainer because there's no way we could have potentially produced this animal on our own. So we picked her up. We are super, super excited about it. And while she's not going to go this year because she's a hatchling, we cannot wait to see the GHI Sunset Desert Ghost.
Friday night we went out to dinner. We actually got to meet some really cool people that we'd never met before. Jason came to dinner with us, and it was just really great getting to know some people that we haven't had the opportunity to sit down with before, and we've only had a chance to talk online. There's a lot of that. After dinner, everyone kind of heads over to the hotel bar that's connected to the conference center to hang out and, have conversations and catch up with people. It's hard to have like a sit down dinner with everyone there. So the bar's a good place to get to network and talk to people outside of the show hours. I was very tired and I kind of wanted to find a chair to curl up in and go to sleep in the lobby, but Garrick DeMeyer actually came over and started talking to Steven, and I had to get in on that because I am a big fan of his, and that was really neat. I was pretty over the moon that he came over and talked to us, and we chatted about some different video ideas and some projects we had coming up. So really fun night, getting to meet so many people and see so many people. We absolutely love catching up.
The last animal that I want to talk about was actually the third animal that we purchased, and in some ways is actually the very first animal that we were considering buying when we went to Tinley Park. So before we went to Tinley, we had seen on Morph Market that there was an amazing male that Justin from Canova had. And this male is a spot-nose leopard clown, 100% heterozygous for sunset and for desert ghost. So this male would have been amazing. Obviously, we didn't get this male because I'm talking about it in this specific tense. So the reason why I was so excited about this male is that, as I already said, we have some really cool double het sunset DG girls that are almost up to size right now. We also have several double het sunset clown girls that are up to size, are going to be up to size within the next season or so. So this male could have gone to any of those girls and still worked the project. We really like the spot nose sunset clown that Canova had hit last year, as well as the leopard sunset clown that they also hit last year. So the idea of being able to get this male, work genes that we didn't have in those projects into them right away, especially because that male potentially could be up to size next breeding season, and we'd be able to pair him and get maximum value from the females that we already had. It was amazing. It was the perfect animal for us. But the thing that kind of held us up on this was that the animal was made from a multi-het pairing to a multi-het pairing. And because of this, it wasn't guaranteed, if you're actually looking at the pairing specifically, to have DGC, which DGC is the gene that controls whether or not a desert ghost animal is a visual desert ghost, if that's homozygous at DGC, is a het desert ghost if it's heterozygous at DGC, or if it's not desert ghost at all. And while RGI had previously talked about DGA and DGB being selectively bred into the desert ghost population, they are not the ones that control whether or not an animal is a visual desert ghost, is carrying the gene or not. So this animal had been tested by RGI when it hatched out and had come back positive for DGA, or het for DGA, and het for DGB. But when they had done the test, they didn't have the test yet for DGC. So Chase specifically actually offered to get the animal retested, so that way they can make sure that it was het for DGC before we paid money for it. So they send off the test, they get the results back really quick because DGC is one of the RGI's 2-day fast shed tests, and when they get the results back, it proved negative. And I was super bummed, but also I cannot thank Canova, Chase, Justin, all of them enough for doing this. They didn't have to go out and get this animal tested again, but they did it, and they didn't charge us for it, and they were completely fine, and they completely understood that animal not really fitting into our projects anymore. So at that point in time, they also talked about how they had a leopard clown double het sunset DG, but again, it was the same type of situation, same type of pairing. So they send that animal off to get tested, and on Thursday, they come back and they end up finding out that that animal also was not het for DGC. So that animal wouldn't work. So while we're talking about all of this stuff, they end up talking about, or we end up talking about, the spot nose triple het sunset desert ghost clown female that had tested positive for DGC, and that animal ended up being our third purchase and is the one that I'm personally most excited about. So while we can't necessarily this season or next season leverage a male in that project to really get it going, we can grow this female up, and I cannot wait to see what animals Justin and Chase and everybody else makes in the Sunset Desert Ghost Clown project this season and next season, because hopefully we can have this girl be about 6 months, 9 months, a year old and find an amazing male that will work well with her and with all of our other animals.
Everyone that I talked to said they were having a good show. Everyone I talked to said it was pretty good, at least. But I heard from 2 different bigger vendors that this was the best Tinley they've ever that they've ever vended. So it's really exciting to hear that, you know, things are moving, market's picking up, you know, things are getting good. And it's also really exciting to see some really cool animals. I know that October Tinley is going to be even crazier. I've never been to an October Tinley. I'm super excited to go this year. So if this is going to be maybe your first Tinley coming up, or you're going to be going to the October Tinley, let us know in the comments so that we can be sure to hang out. I know it's a little ways away, but I'm already excited for the next one.
Before we get out of here, again, huge thank you to everybody that we talked to, everybody that we spent time with at Tinley Park NARBC. And if you are not doing anything at 8:30 tonight on Wednesday, we are actually going to be doing our very first Patreon Zoom call. So if you're interested in joining it, head over to Patreon, check out the tiers, and remember that every single dollar that you spend in the Patreon fees will go towards a credit for a future snake purchase from us. So we hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please don't forget to hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe, and we will see you next week.